Good morning, I'm Jackie Birch, and this is my special topics class, MRTS 1191, with Mrs. Rebecca Rabitas Gardner. And this is my PowerPoint presentation over my mass fatality incident paper. And I did Hurricane Katrina. There have been many mass fatality incidents in the United States over the years. A mass fatality incident is one that involves more deceased bodies or body parts than are able to be located, identified, and processed for final disposition. Some large incidents include the Oklahoma City bombing, the 9/11 attacks, the Columbine shooting incident, and the attack on Pearl Harbor. One mass fatality incident I will always remember is when Hurricane Katrina hit the United States Gulf. Hurricane Katrina was a massive hurricane that started as a tropical storm over the Bahamas in late August of 2005. It first graced United States land as a Category 1 hurricane over the south end of the state of Florida. Unfortunately, the hurricane grew larger and stronger very quickly once it made way into the warmer waters of the Gulf. By August 29, 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit the United States off the Gulf Coast as a Category 5 on the Saffir-Simpson scale. Katrina had a huge impact on the Gulf Coast community. This hurricane created massive destruction in a small amount of time over the states of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Many families no longer had a home, and numerous senior citizens were affected as well. While the city of New Orleans thought they would be spared because the city is under sea level, it quickly became a sad reality that these people would have the greatest loss as the levee system failed to hold. Hurricane Katrina's surge was a massive 20 feet high and left a large amount of New Orleans underwater. Mississippi and Alabama were also greatly affected by this devilish hurricane. Katrina left families torn apart and bodies unidentifiable, as well as created major issues in the local cemeteries due to high water levels. Thousands of people from these three states were in search of family, food, and shelter. Because of this, a large amount of people were relocated to the Houston Astrodome, Louisiana Superdome, and the New Orleans Convention Center, although it needed repairs after the storm. At these three places, they received food and shelter while waiting to hear any news about their families. There was over $100 billion in loss and damages, and unfortunately, the population in and around the New Orleans area dropped by a whopping 29% from 2005 to 2011. Not only did Hurricane Katrina affect Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, but the entire United States as well. The economy fell and gas prices rose to new levels. In order to assist these states in their time of loss, many special teams were deployed. One of these teams were DMORT, Disaster Mortuary Operational Response Teams. The DMORTs, which were founded by the National Funeral Directors Association in the 1980s, brought disaster portable morgue units, or DPMUs, to better help in this time of need. During a mass fatality incident, the DMORTs work under the laws and statutes of the local authorities. These units bring medical examiners, coroners, pathologists, forensic anthropologists, funeral directors, medical record personnel, fingerprint specialists, odontologists, computer technicians, mental health specialists, and administrative staff, as well as security officers to aid in the incident. These people all have different jobs on the DMORT team, but are all needed. These team members work side by side to reach a common goal, and most tend to be cross-trained in other specialties. This helps the unit to render as much aid as possible. DMORT teams almost always cover mass fatality incidents in their own area, unless needed or called elsewhere. Hurricane Katrina created so much destruction that all the United States DMORT teams were deployed. Until then, that was unheard of. and did not even happen during the September 11th, 2001 attacks. Many local funeral directors were also impacted by the chaos of the hurricane. Not only did many of them lose funeral homes, but they lost homes and families as well. In the midst of all this loss, funeral directors were still the people that others turned to in their time of need for guidance and help with the loss of family members. Because of this, many DMORT units sent funeral directors to funeral homes so they could relieve the local funeral directors. Terry Birch, a Southeastern Oklahoma funeral director and former DMORT team member, stated, "The DMORT units would send us to funeral homes so that the local directors and embalmers could go be with their families. Each director had one apprentice, and we traveled together. My apprentice and I stationed in Gulfport, Mississippi. We took our own food, water, supplies, gas, and generator in order to be able to function successfully when we got there. The funeral home had no electricity, so we powered it with the generator and lived on the couches there for 2 weeks at a time. We would meet with families to make arrangements and did waterless embalming while we were there. We just did our very best with what we had to work with in order to help and support directors in that moment of great devastation. Many may not realize, but these funeral directors also experienced a great amount of loss and pain." Hurricane Katrina still affects people today, including the local funeral directors. Seeing and assisting during a time of such loss can greatly change someone forever. Funeral directors are caring, thoughtful, and sincere individuals who tend to do very difficult jobs and often get forgot about. This is why DMORT units always have mental health professionals on the team. It is crucial for everyone involved to visit with the psychologist. We had a meeting before we went to assist and after we were done to ensure everyone knew how to cope with the tragedy and things we had seen, said Terry Birch. Although not many people know about it, the local funeral directors and coroners gave a massive push to the finalization of the Katrina Memorial. It took them 3 years, but they finally got the permission to bury 86 bodies that were either unclaimed or unidentified. These 86 unforgotten people were buried in the Charity Hospital Cemetery close to the memorial. The local funeral directors, coroners, and medical examiners continue to push for a peaceful burial for these people, as well as the Katrina Memorial. This is a beautiful memorial dedicated to all that were lost and affected by Hurricane Katrina. They will always be remembered by the funeral directors. The mass fatality incident that Hurricane Katrina caused still has a great effect on people today. I believe it will never be forgotten by the United States citizens, as we were all greatly grieved in some way by it.